Of our Awaken Wisdom Experience series. Today, our episode is called Flip the Switch. On behalf of the entire organizing team, I want to welcome everybody who is returning to this experience and also want to welcome everybody who might be attending this for the first time. Um, we wanted to start off with a recap of the first couple of episodes to reorient ourselves as to what we've already discussed and how we've come to this point in this journey. We started thinking about Gita Vahini as a text written by Sri Sathya Sai Baba and as a summary document of the most salient truths from the Bhagavad Gita, or the parent text that this is from. In the first episode, entitled The Modern Arjuna, we thought about the idea of naming our feelings and thinking about the emotions that accompany us in this human experience of hopelessness, of confusion, and those very real, tangible experiences that we all have. And how, in the context of this text, Arjuna, one of the main protagonists, also faced a lot of dilemmas as to what he should be doing. In this context, we challenged all of the participants in this experience to think about what it means to identify our emotions, but more importantly, to figure out what our complaining patterns look like. And in order to figure out what are triggers for the complaints and how we can work to reduce our overall complaints in life, to be more mindful and present about the type of output we're generating, whether within our minds, to our loved ones, and even in our own prayer and meditation. The second episode then was called Becoming a Student. We further extended our study of this main protagonist, Arjuna, to view him not only as a seeker, but as a student. We realized that in this holy context, in order to imbibe the lessons and of the truth, that an aspirant must not only seek the knowledge, but also must become humble and take on the role of a student, being willing to learn from all of the experiences and wisdom of God, in this case personified as Krishna, who is also extended to the divine teacher. Realizing that a lot of our experiences tend to be mundane in the daily world, we wanted to see how the universe and our daily lives could be the university. How is all of the experiences we live through our university, and how do we learn from our day-to-day life, realizing that one does not always need to be in extraordinary positions to learn, but every moment can offer that perspective. And so with that, I wanted to end our recap session and turn it over for more explanation to Dr. Suresh Govind uncle.
Thank you, Nirupama. By the infinite grace of Bhagavan, we are here all gathered for this beautiful study circle session. So the first recap, Nirupama explained, second one we explained. And now the whole point is that it is at this point that we must appreciate the confusion in Arjuna, because he is only able to interpret the world according to what he knows. And most of us are like that as well. We interpret our situations, we decipher many things according to what we know. But how much do we know? How can we make 100% conclusions of many things with only 10% knowledge? Doesn't make sense. And this is the reason why some of us end up in wrong experiences and then wrong feelings and so on. And that's what the whole confusion is all about. But no knowledge can come into a student unless the student starts to have a reverential attitude towards a teacher. So becoming a student simply means that this is where we now start to blossom our humility, that we come to acknowledge, yes, that is a fact. I don't know much, and therefore I need help. So that feeling is a very important feeling. It's in that attitude that when we surrender to the teacher, so to speak, or surrender to a higher truth, then we start to invoke many things. Suddenly we look at around the world, we can see the entire universe becoming a university. That means, what it means is that every single little thing that we see in this world can be a reminder for us to get back home, so to speak. So in this lost world, when we are moving around, we are grappling with our information, we are going around trying to decode our emotions. But if there are indicators, if there are visual images that we can interpret it positively, then we know how to get back to our home. We know how to get back on our path. So this is why Bhagavan Baba said, universe is the university, which means to say we must become a learner in everything. Now, in the last 1 month, we gave that exercise to everyone to look at everything, your interactions with your family, your children, your wife, your house, your office experiences, your travel to the office, you're coming back. The whole world would have opened up, and each of those experiences would be letting you know or be reminding you of some truths. And that is what we want to hear. How did you make this universe a university? In the study, in the breakout rooms that we are going into, we hope to hear your narration. We hope to hear your experiences, and thereby even enrich all those who are in the same breakout room, and exchange information and learning so that we all can grow together. This is a very important exercise. And don't forget, this is going along with that Gita flow in the sense that becoming a student. When you become a student, the whole universe becomes a university. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle, for that wonderful introduction. And so, to kind of talk through our next session here, we're going to be going into a breakout room, and we're going to have people share their experiences, as Uncle mentioned, about how they were able to translate their daily experiences into learning points. And so, with that, we would like you to answer this question: how did the universe teach you to become a better person this month?
Okay.
So, I think it looks like almost everybody has come back and trickled out of the breakout rooms. So now I wanted to invite a couple of the facilitators to either give a few themes that came from the session right now, or maybe if you want to share one particular story. Does Brother Amit want to share first?
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we had a great group of people sharing some very nice stories. I think just a couple of quick themes that came along was it didn't necessarily have to be the most grand story where the universe has taught us. It was often sometimes the small stories, the day-to-day events that we learned these experiences from. I think a theme that came along way with a story or two was we make certain assumptions in our life, and then understanding the context made us learn a lot about that particular scenario as well. Some of the stories were, learning from a challenge, and then the other was perhaps learning from something happiness. So a happy story had to do with learning and getting energy from the younger kids, and that was really really helpful as well. And then there was another really complicated story about a satsang that almost never happened with 10 curveballs thrown at them, but with Swami's grace, everything worked out in the end. So lots of great stories about the universe. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And then the Cypress and the auntie also want to share from her group.
Sure, thank you. So one of our members in the group shared a beautiful story about the spider and the web it creates. So he was talking about how he sat in a corner of a window and he watched this spider build this beautiful web. And he was also talking about the spider being such a wonderful architect, building such a beautiful web. But then after a while, this spider itself was caught in the web. And after a few days, the spider died in the web. And this really made him think about how we are all caught in the life, which is like a web. And then we just get drowned by that itself. And that was a very good analogy that made him think about life as such and how we have to focus on the proper action rather than just get engrossed in planning and getting caught in the life of web. And there were other things where people talked about how in work situations where we always have an opinion and instead we just state the opinion first and then expect others to listen along. Instead, he just took a different approach where he really wanted to hear from everybody, listening to those different intricacies like Swami's prism, listening to everybody, state the problem, have people talk about it. And that approach really resulted in a very collective problem solving process, resulting in more productive results that were more helpful in those work situations. That's what one brother was telling us. And a sister from Indonesia was sharing a beautiful story where she had some situations where it was really difficult and she was trying to help two people, but then it was very hard for her to make that change. But then she just realized that Swami is sending these situations to her and testing her. And first, it was like a troublesome situation where it was getting her worked up inside because she didn't expect this person from the field that in a center like this where people are expected to be at a particular level to see that type of behavior. So she was complaining within herself, but she never got angry outside. But this was bothering her. But later she realized that instead of me expecting a change in someone else, Swami has sent this to change to teach me a lesson. So I have no control over that person, but I have better control over myself. And then I changed myself and tried to understand where that person was coming from, and things started improving better. But what she said was initially she had all this difficult situations where it took her some time to process and get to this state. But she believes that from this experience, the next time such a situation comes, she'll be able to immediately switch to that position where she can be patient and say, see what change she can do rather than expecting a change from someone else. Thank you.
Saramanti, thank you so much for sharing both those stories/experiences. Really helpful to think about oneself and like how to view things for yourself rather than expecting change to come from the external world. I'd like to finally invite Sister Adwaita to talk about her breakout rooms experience as well.
Saira Madreta, you need to unmute. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Sairam, everyone. I'll just share one short story that one of our sisters, Sister Jwala, shared with us, and the responses were very great from all the different participants. It was different themed, but what she said was, she observes whenever we are growing plants, like for the tomato plants and all, you need a particular temperature. You can't be growing in the snow and all that, right? So you need particular temperature and you need water, and all that has to be taken care of. But the weeds, they just grow like, in any condition, they are like growing and all. And so she's like, wow, there's a message for me from from these weeds, like I should be able to meditate like these weeds anytime. I don't have to have a particular time allocated for my meditation sessions. And really, meditation is supposed to happen throughout, right? It's not just in the morning or in the evening that you sit down for meditation. So that was a lesson she learned from the weeds. And so I just wanted to share that. Thank you. Saida.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really important to think about that meditation in the 24/7 context, like you said, and not just in these concrete times during the day. So now our breakout session has concluded, and so we're going to transition into the main session to kind of go more about our topic, flip the switch. And so I'd really like to invite Sister Saidata to take the stage and to continue our discussion forward. Saira.
Sairam Nirupama. So now that we are all caught up with all the previous episodes that we have, we understand the importance of becoming a student. And the fact that we are all here on a Sunday evening proves that we have definitely started our journey, right? And the second episode where we learned about surrender, about offering our action, offering about every step to Swami. Now here we are, the third episode, which is titled Flip the Switch, which tells us some flipping needs to happen, right? Something has to change. So let's see what, and we'll dive down into smaller chunks and pieces and try to understand more details on this. There's a fun little trailer for you all, so let's listen to this.
So does virus.
Sairam, audio is not coming through.
Sorry, I just realized that you're not able to hear it. I'm just gonna stop and share it one more time. Sorry.
Sad has 3 letters.
But so does joy.
Fall has 4 letters.
So does rise.
Curse has 5 letters.
So does bless.
Ignore has 6 letters.
But so does listen.
Enemies has 7 letters.
So does friends.
Immature has 8 letters.
But so does maturity.
Ignorance has 9 letters.
But so does knowledge.
Negativity has 10 letters.
But so does positivity.
Choice is yours.
Flip the switch!
Sad has 3 letters.
The power of free will, huh? It's our choice at the end of the day. Famous scientist once said that no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. Now that we know something has to change, something has to be fixed, it cannot happen at the same level. So if we are actually seeking some answers, if we are actually looking for solutions, we have to rise above. We have to elevate our way of thinking, our thought process, right? And that's exactly what Lord Krishna has been trying to do through Arjuna, through this episode, and through him for all of us, for the entire world to share, right? In the middle of this battleground where Arjuna is standing and he looks to the opposite side and all he can see are his relatives, his guru, his teachers, right? So at this point, the only way he can see the war as is a way of cruelty, that he thinks it as an act of killing his revered gurus. But Lord Krishna is trying to show him the different side, the actual thing that is the war to uphold dharma. And as a warrior, that is his duty to uphold dharma, and that comes before anything else. And Swami and Lord Krishna is trying to make him see it in a different light, see it a little, think from a different level of consciousness, right? Even in our day-to-day lives, we all know, like, we are not facing a war in that magnitude for sure, but we all have that little battle going on. Everybody is fighting their own war, right? All of us are going through small little fights which we are trying to win over. something that tests your patience, something that challenges your inner calmness too. In our every day-to-day life, we come across few stuff like this that always like changes our vibe. That it's not always how we cannot be like we are not able to sustain that for a longer period of time. And we all know it's easier said than done. So thankfully, we have many people here to share and to hear from each other and learn that. And we would like to go through some small incidents like this in our daily day-to-day life and try to see how we can see them in a different light. So for the next one, I would like to call upon Sister Advaita to share this, and then we can try to deconstruct it step by step. Around Sister Advaita.
Saira. So yeah, maybe 2 weeks back we had severe weather here, and I'm from the Midwest. So it was snowing heavily, and I'm not very comfortable driving in the snow. This is not me, but then yes, I can definitely relate to this person. And I had to go pick my kids. They're at an elementary school, and I have to pass through a middle school. I usually leave home by 3:10 to reach there, but then because it was snowing, I mean, I had to take into account the roads, right? So I left a little early, but then little did I realize that it coincided exactly with the dismissal in the middle school. So, when I reached there, it's like a flood of cars, and that's all I can see. And I see that they're not moving at all. And so it's just a 2-lane road, I'm going this direction, and then cars are coming in the opposite direction. And so I'm like thinking about my kids, like, oh my God, like, am I going to be late? What's like all that negative thoughts are going to come out, are coming to me, And then I was trying to pass, get onto the other lane to get ahead. And so then there are cars coming from the opposite direction, and then there is the snow, and oh my God, it was a total chaos, And then I'm trying to think like, should I just go straight and make another turn and maybe that'll be faster, or So at all these levels, I think because first of all, I think I considered snow to be like bad, and everything else that followed appeared to be a problem. And at all levels, like physical, emotional, and intellectual. So that was one problem I just wanted to share.
Thank you, Sister Advaita. I'm sure most of us living up here would definitely know. Up here, as in I'm talking about Chicago, and I'm sure like up north is even worse, right? Can relate to this scenario. Another such incident in our day-to-day life is the traffic that we all go through. I would like to invite Brother Sanjeev to share regarding this point.
Yeah. Sairam, thank you. There's a big theme. There's a big theme here. Thank you, Advaita. I'm going to follow up with Sister Advaita's story with yet another car story, but this doesn't take a lot of effort to identify with. I think we all have been in these situations, and I've been in one fairly recently when I was trying to get home in a rush situation. And I think everyone has that experience, right? So physically, it's like, I'm fidgeting, my back is hurting, and I'm opening the window because it's too hot inside the car. It's winter, it's now it's suddenly very cold, and I'm, closing the window, cranking up, the heat, and I'm still not comfortable. So basically there's just the emotionally, I'm feeling more and more, irritated. I'm reaching for the radio, I'm reaching for the switch, I'm trying to figure out, all right, what do I do? All this kind of chatter is going on. And as the time progresses, I'm getting more and more frustrated. And then of course the intellectual, kicks in, and like, I could have taken another route. Did I have to leave right now? Could I have done it via Zoom? This particular call. So I won't bury the example, but I think you can imagine that it can really, really spiral up. It can really escalate very quickly, from being very calm and relaxed to just getting really, really like fidgety and angry and super irritated. So there you have it.
Okay. I'm sure, like even after all this, even we are just, if we are working from home with kids at home, if they are not going to school, if they are at home, that also poses different kind of challenges on our day-to-day work, right? And in order to find a solution for this, in order to find ourselves in a better mental state to handle this scenario, like it was said earlier, we have to rise above to a higher level of consciousness, right? Thankfully, we have Dr. Suresh Govind uncle here, which and whom all of us revere as someone with a higher level of consciousness. We want you to teach us, like, what are we trying to exactly change and the mechanism behind doing it. So can you please help us walk us through this step?
Sairam. I'm not sure about the higher level of consciousness, but I will certainly try and help. Okay, so now the main thing is that when you look at everything in this world, because don't forget, the second lesson was on understanding and making the universe the university. So we have within our human system certain things that allows us to decode and interpret the messages. So when we are experiencing emotion, this is the red color light. This is the understanding the emotional trigger. This trigger has come now. That emotional trigger is for us to analyze and to understand and interpret the emotion using a certain logical reasoning and rewiring our brain. So this is how we keep on knowing how to flip the switch. The whole idea of a spiritual life, don't forget, is to maintain the equilibrium and not to be swept away by the circumstances and become a victim to that. Then there's no point. It's the spiritual dramatization of that is the puja, the flower, the yajna, the homa. All those are exercises in order to keep our mental the mind, in order to understand the world, perceive the senses, perceive the information through the senses, allow the mind to decode, add the intellectual component towards it to analyze. And there is one more level that we need to go. And that is what Lord Krishna is teaching us, because that is the real essence of flipping the switch. And that is what we are going to go into now. Once we understand this mechanism, then we will be good. That is a process whereby we can rewire our brain. And everything that you look at from now on can be seen as an opportunity to understand better yourself. Next. So, and this is nothing philosophical, it's actually very scientific. In the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, the exact words are, the exact momentum and position of any particle cannot be located at any one point of time. This is the law of physics. It means to say that in the world, it exists two states. One is a particle, one is a wave. If you keep focusing hard, it becomes a particle. If you shift your focus, it becomes a wave. It's all about trying to, what is the perception? The way you perceive is what the world is. And Baba says it beautifully. Bhagavan Baba says it nicely. It is your drishti that creates the srishti. The creation, whatever the world is manifesting in front of us is directly proportional to the way you look at it. And Heisenberg uncertainty principle states that the exact position and momentum of any particle cannot be located. So now, if you want to be sorrowful, lonely, depressed, sad, and all that, that's the way you perceive it. If you want to be happy, joyous, and everything else in the circumstances that you're in, you can choose to be. But we always try to alter the environment outside in order for us to give us happiness. This the spiritualists will never do. In the spiritual parlance of things, we see that we keep the same circumstances, but the way you interpret the circumstances is what confers us a spiritual eye of wisdom. Let's look at the Gita now. So from this point, okay, so now I've given you the science perspective. See, until verse 10, Arjuna was blabbering and he was continuously, and then at verse 10, he became a student. After that, he became a student. It is when the teacher now starts to speak. And the first lines of the teacher says, the Supreme Lord said, while you speak words of wisdom. I mean, you have all these words, you think you are speaking wisdom, but you are mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. The wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. It's a total shakeup. It's a paradigm shift. I'm sad about this teacher. I'm going to kill. I'm sad about these people. And suddenly this teacher gives us a paradigm, a shift in the way you look at it. My dear friends, this is the key in this whole thing. I wanted to, what we are doing in this Bhagavad Gita is not interpreting and analyzing, and I don't want this to be an academic exercise. This must be a real practical approach in which you hold the bull by the horn and you're able to see the perspectives. What the teacher is trying to do now is to pull the carpet and say, hey, hello, stop it. Stop this nonsense. That's in that word. So the student looks up. My God, I don't need to grieve. I don't need to be sad. Why? The wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Meaning now he's trying to invoke the wisdom in you to see. So far, you have not talked with wisdom. Now come back to the state of the wisdom to see what is it that you should be mourning. Oh, so now there is a paradigm that I now need to shift. This is 211. This is the verse 211. Then Krishna continues this particular treatment, this particular rehabilitation program. So he is now presents another dimension. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any one of us cease to be. So as long as we continue remaining in the physical, mental, intellectual, we will be always in a jail. We will be in a jail. The teacher now brings in another dimension, and this is the Atmic dimension. It is from the Atmic perspective that you should now see the world. From the Atmic perspective, you should now start to interpret. This is the only way that you can open the jail doors. Hey, Krishna, that's interesting. Yeah, where were you born? Why can't you be born in a decent hospital or a maternity home? You chose to be born in a jail. Yes, yeah, I was born in a jail, but the jail doors opened and I came out. Didn't you read my biography? I came out of the jail door. You are still caught in the jail doors of the physical, mental, intellectual, and you'll be forever trapped in that. And you are not able to experience the higher state of consciousness, nor the higher state of bliss that you are supposed to be endowed with and your birthright. Why don't you come out of the jail? Aha, so this now interpretation gives me another angle, another dimension for me to stand on. Oh my God, all this while the culture, the people, everybody told me that this is the only three dimensions that I need to interpret. You mean there is another way to interpret it? And now the teacher confers him a new state of wisdom in which he says, from here, neither was there a time when I did not exist, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So there is a certain continuity now he's putting in. You don't stand at the top of the ocean in which there are waves. As long as you remain in the waves, you'll be tossed and turned and you will be like a victim to the circumstances. Come to the seabed. At the seabed, you will see an amazing, incredible stability that will come to you. Their treatment continues, 213. Krishna says, yes, now comes the teaching, this training. You did not cry when your childhood ended. You did not cry when you became a youth. When your youth ended, did you cry? And you lament in silence that when you became middle age? When your middle age died, did you cry when you became old age? At every phase of your life, you're changing, don't you see? So my friend, I'm telling you, this is not a full stop. This is a comma. Ooh, another paradigm shift. This is a comma? This doesn't stop. See, it's a paradigm shift. It's a perceptual change in the way you see a problem. A perceptual change is what Einstein was talking about in the right from the start. If you want a solution, don't keep staring at it and don't whine and grumble. We have to shift our consciousness. The purpose of the SSSIO organization is to escalate human consciousness to the divine. So what does it mean? It means that every spiritual individual must know how to manage the problems, must know how to make sure he sees things properly. So this is the third point in which Krishna brings about. There's only two more points now before I conclude. Second, for the fourth one, oh, son of Kunti. These are all nice words. We'll say, oh, son, do you know who you are? You are the son of Kunti. Now he explains the mechanism, the contact between the senses and the sense objects give rise to the fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. So as long as you keep yourself in this plane at the top of the ocean, it'll all be fleeting waves, fleeting moments of happiness and distress. These are not permanent and come and go like the winter. So one reader can say this, yeah, this is Gita, this is philosophical, this is the way that they have taught us, and we can continue to dismiss this as a evening tea discussion and things like that. However, the subject matter is taught at the battleground. It is a recipe to live. And if we do not imbibe this, then forever we will be caught in the three stages. Here the teacher is telling us that these are all not permanent and come and go like the winter and summer. Oh, descendant of Bharat, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Hey, you be at the top of the ocean, you will forever be disturbed. Get to the bottom part. It is at the bottom part you will see a bigger reality, a higher reality. So now a new paradigm has been given. And the final blow to this whole thing is that, oh, Arjuna, noblest among men, that person who is not affected by happiness and distress, remains steady in both, becomes eligible for liberation. Hey, teacher, you are so good. Not only you gave me the idea, now you've dangled a bigger carrot. And what is the carrot that you dangled in front of me? The eligibility for liberation. What is liberation? Dr. Reddy mentioned, Dr. Narendra Reddy mentioned in our Kenyan camp, I'm sorry, in our Sri Lankan camp, where in the Upanishad it is stated that today's happiness that you have, the highest state of happiness that you can experience, times it by 10 to the power 18, which is quintillon bliss. Quintillon level, highest level of bliss. Quintillon, you can't even perceive, you can't even conceive. That amount of happiness and joy and bliss you can experience. Why forsake that for these petty things? Why can't you go for something higher and nobler? This is the aspiration. And so the teacher has now shown a higher reality. So it is this reality that I must now go for. You see, he has nicely given me the psycho education, pulled me out from the three physical, mental, intellectual realm, and conferred to me another platform in which now I can interpret everything in a more positive manner. When I do so, I retain back my original state of consciousness. So this is what only 11 to 15. Don't forget, this Gita is a big, huge volume. We are not completing whole chapter. For chapters, some people complete chapter 2, third session, chapter 3. I really don't believe in that. I believe in just slow, and gently take it over. So we only covered 4 verses today and taken the essence of that and given it a term called flip the switch. So I give you a good example of this, and you can participate in this and say, okay, for example, this is a very, very bad year for me. I had to undergo an emergent surgery to remove my gallbladder. I recovered from the surgery only to receive the news that my company terminated my position. I never imagined that I would be looking for a new job at this stage in my career. To add to all of this, my son met with a bad accident. The car was totally damaged, and we had to scramble to get a new car. And the insurance premium hiked up. My closest friend, he's the only one, my closest, who was sick for a long time, finally died. I still have not got over this. And this is my sad state of affairs. This is my gloomy state. And now you, after the learning of all this Gita, came to the house. What is the consolation? How will you help him to interpret this positively? If I were to ask any one of you, you can just open your mic and just share with me, or anyone can share with me. How will you turn this situation positively? If you're looking at it, don't look at it from the physical point of view. From the physical point of view, that my body is sick. I've gone for a surgery. I feel frustration. I feel loneliness. I feel sad. And I have my friend. Do I need intellectually, I have now been really crushed. Now, how can I atmically interpret this whole thing? Anybody?
Sai Manohari has her hand raised. Go ahead.
Okay. Come, please. Sai Manohari.
Atmically, I know it's
Okay,
highest. I'll say
interpret.
like what I felt is like I would say if someone I know this is all going on, and like, hey, first of all, you survived. You were out from the something terminal. You still have life. You can still do more. God has given you opportunity one more day to understand who you really are, or what for your higher ambitions or something in perspective, spiritual life in that perspective. And then yeah, your son did not die, thankfully, only the car. That's fine. You still have your son. And then dog passed away. That's for his own good. He went to his peace, and he has to continue his journey. Who knows what his next life is? That's what I would say, Saira.
Sai Manohari, thank you so much. Very nice. Very, very nice. Excellent. Very, very nice interpretation. Anybody else? One more. Jagdish Singh.
Ram, yeah, it's a very difficult situation, and as you told, if you are at the lower perception, it's not going to be easy to comprehend this. But as we all know, we have been in Swami's fold for such a long time, and why we are there, because we have so much faith in Swami. So why not have faith in his words? He always used to tell, accept everything is good for me, everything is good for me. So you never know what is going to happen. So, but if you have faith in that words of Swami, I think we can overcome this situation.
Okay, so that's good. That is the generic. That means you just talked about the screen. you must talk about the movie. This movie is projected on the screen. So the screen now has got this, all the scenes that is happening on the movie scene, and you're now walked into that hole. So now, your Swami, you must faith inform me, brother, what are you talking, brother? And you start like crying more. How would you put the thing? What is the solution? What is the way? Manohar is added that point. Anybody else? This is a gymnasium, and in a gymnasium, we are trying to, make sure that, muscles are developed. The perception muscles are developed. One more time. Yeah. Yes. Shruti, I think, is it?
Shanti
Anup?
Kumar. And we
Shanti
have
Kumar,
more.
okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So if he is spiritual and if he knows about Gita, then this is the message. So one thing certain when we are born is we die. Everyone has to die. So this is a journey. Its life is ups and downs. The architect is the all-loving, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient God.
Okay.
And he knows and he loves us the most. So whatever that he gives us is best for us.
Yeah.
Turn your switch. Even if
Click.
you're, the dog's life is 14 years and it has to die one day. I mean,
Yes. Okay. Very nice. Thank you, sister. Thank you so much. Very nice. Okay, we interest of time because 9:06. Sorry, we still have time. Okay, we have time, right, Nirupama?
Simple.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's just get one more person, and then this is so.
Sairam brother Suresh Govind. Yeah, such a joy to be in
Arvind.
this session.
Hey,
Yes.
Arvind. How are you, sir? Partner
I
in
am,
crime.
what do I tell? I'm having cold, I'm sick, I'm fever. I'm in that crying mode. But
Okay.
let me just,
Your voice does sound different.
yeah, that's why. So I'm still in bed over here. But yeah, I wanted to join in. I thought of, to get some healing. So what I feel is, flipping the switch, two things that we learn from Krishna, I felt is, one is having that empathy. If you brutally flip the switch, I must say that I had one uncle, he was totally into this Bhagavad Gita and all this. So one day when somebody passed away, he was sitting there and he was telling, what you guys are mourning, that is just a bag of bones and phlegm and flesh. And it was so insensitive, so terrible. So I feel in flipping the switch, one point we have to keep in mind is empathy. Krishna did it, as brother Suresh Govind also said, he allowed him fully one chapter of mourning to go through. So I think first aspect is empathy, and that's why it will depend on a case to case basis. There is no one fit formula on how to deal with it. But the idea is that person should understand that you are there to help. So that is where empathy comes in. Then only the flip the switch will work. Otherwise, that fellow will tell you, you get lost, man. You're so cruel. You're a psycho the way you talk. You get out, because if you try to flip the switch directly. And then the second thing is, I think, to just make the person aware that, see, till now, whatever you have been lamenting, this is how it has been going on, it has not helped you. Do you want to get out of it? Yeah. Like there will be some, when you prescribe medicine and exercise, there will be a lot of pain. But I assure you that if you sincerely follow something that I'm going to tell for the next 10 days, you'll already start feeling better. Are you ready to give it a try? So I think these are two important aspects I will focus on when trying to get this person out. One is to empathize and let that person know that I care. And second thing is to let that person know that everything that you're trying so now, because I loved that quote that was put up, that Einstein said that you can't solve a problem from the level it has been created. So that's why they say mind over body. When your body is giving problems, you can use the mind to overcome the body. But when the mind is giving problems, you can't use the mind. You have to tap into something higher than the mind. And to remind a person that you need to go into that, I think these are two things: empathy, and then convincing the person that your current state is not helping. So do you want to try, and then flip the switch rather than directly flip the switch? These are my few cents.
Sudden change can be dangerous, you see.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a very, very good point. Very, very good point. That means preparation in order for you to switch the switch, especially when it comes to some other person, individual. These are the points that we need to look at: empathy and the ability to make the correctional change if you want, and give some time for the whole thing to take place. Switching mechanism, also the preparation and the readiness also must be empowered. That's what Arvind said. Very nice. Thank you, Arvind. I hope you heal fast and and come back. Yeah, I see the hand of Sai Shiva. Shiva? Sai Shiva, did I see your hand?
Bharat Patel.
No, Sai Shiva. I saw Sai Shiva's hand, I think.
Okay.
Sai Shiva Kare. I think I saw his hand. I'm not sure, but it's okay.
Sorry, Professor. I don't think I raised my hand.
Oh, that means
I'm sorry.
my intuition must have picked it up. But never mind. Since you're on the line, why don't you say something?
I mean, it's a quite difficult situation. I don't know what I can do to help.
Tell, because from another perspective, you see, the elderly people will have one way of doing it, but the young people also will have another. Let us educate us, sir. Teach us, tell us.
Let me. It's I mean, I'm on the spot, so I'm thinking, and thank you for putting me on the spot. And it's quite a tough situation. Like, what can you say somebody who is losing stuff one after the other, you know? They'll be like completely devastated. And I know somebody who went through like that, and whatever you tell them at that point, they are not ready to listen it, first of all. You know, they're going through it. I think giving some space, giving some time helps, and it applies to ourselves as well. Like, if we are going through tough time, we need some space. And at the end of that, you have to ask yourself how long you are going to mourn about it, how long you're going to be sad about it. Like, are you going to be sad about it for 5-10 years? Like, no, right? Like, if you're a human being, you're going to go. And after that, you have to accept whatever happened and just move on, keep on going, you know, never back down. I think that's what I would advise. Back to you, Professor. Thank you.
Only one thing, Sai Shiva, is one point is like what you said. You see, don't forget, Krishna did not also put Arjuna on the spot. They were close friends, and Arjuna had all the knowledge. It is that at the time of the examination, he could not bring out the answer. So the teacher just prompted him, and therefore, oh yeah. So now he's able to reconcile and get back. The problem with everyone is sometimes we want to turn to God when there's a problem, but we are not acquainting, we are not preparing, we are not encouraging, we are not reading. So when you don't do those exercises, and then suddenly when we are pushed into the examination hall, you'll find very tough to write the answer. That is what the point is. So the point always is that it is only during peaceful times that we must now become very, very close to our master, our teacher, and continue, because we don't know in our life when the crisis is going to come or when the issues or problems will start. So when we have that, we can summon the wisdom at that point of time. Because as I also said in the first session, Krishna could have given to Arjuna in the walking time, in the pond, when they are with close friends, in many better circumstances. Like I said, eating murku or whatever it is, they could have discussed and chatted. Hey, you know something, Arjuna, do you know something about Sankhya Yoga? Come, let me tell you. He could have given it at any point of time. But why choose a battleground? Because it is only in the examination must you summon the knowledge. So spiritual people must know how to answer, when to answer, how to answer, by keeping ourselves calm, because this world requires spiritual people to set examples, be role models, be the pillars of strength. Because if 1 billion people are mentally depressed on the 22nd of June, 2 years back when WHO announced this, 1 billion out of 8 billion. So it requires us, that Swami said, that we today, by Bhagwan's grace, we should become an answer to the world outside. How we respond to, so, hey, you have all these problems and yet you look cheerful. Hey, you had this type of issue and yet your face shows glow and happiness. How do you do that? That is the Gita life that we are talking about. I think that's what your point of examination part. Yeah, I just wanted to. Thanks. Thank you so much, sir. You were very nice, very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so we have come. We want to go back to that problem. Remember that problem that we had. We had two issues there: Sanjeev's problem and Sai Datta's one. Okay, so this is the interpretation that we look at. physical interpretation, emotion, everything. Now you start looking from this perspective, flipping the switches in everything that you do. From now on, if you have an emotional anger, if you have an emotion of sadness, analyze that, interpret that physically, emotionally. How can I now add Atmic perspective to it? Supposing from Krishna was with me, supposing I'm a student of Gita, how will I see this particular situation and interpret this in a positive manner? That is the internal switching, flip switching attitude that you have. Forever you can remain happy and blissful and blissful. And at least when you are at least peaceful, you can find solutions for your respective problems and help others in the process. So these 4 states, these are the 7 chakra, 7 koshas, 5 koshas, and these are the 4 states of levels that we are in. Okay, go back to your problem. Okay, difficult winter, we had the physical, emotion, we had received that information from you, and now you wanting to flip the, how would you do this now? Go back to, is it fine?
It's me. So yeah, so I'll just tell you what happened. So I managed to reach my kids' school on time. And, as I had my car parked, I saw a lady who was just walking. It was snowing, but then, she just had a pullover, and she was just wearing her normal tennis shoes, no special snow boots on. And she was just walking as if nothing had happened, as if it was just an ordinary day. And I just sat there thinking, do I need to change my viewpoint on this weather and the snow, of all this complaining and all that, So I walked to the school, and I was waiting there saying, let me try to, think something positive about this. And then I was like, wow, the snow does look beautiful, as it was snowing. And I just looked around, and very few parents were all around me. But then, yes, it did look nice. And then the kids came out along with the teachers, and, they were just looking up and trying to taste the snow. And, it was so beautiful. And then they all came. And so I was glad that I was present for the kids, and then instead of just rushing them to the car, we just walked back normally, just being cautious, not to slip. And then we went home as if it were any other normal day. And I don't know if that was Baba wanted to acknowledge me or something. My younger one said, like, Mama, you drive pretty well in the snow. I'm like, oh, thank you, And then the subsequent days too, I when I would go, I had to leave at the time. I knew there would be a traffic jam at the middle school, right? So what I did, I didn't try to pass them. I just sat in the car because I knew the cars would move, because after they get the kids, they would move, right? So I just stood behind, and I knew it's going to take me 15 minutes. And I was, I had left home early, so I was not going to be late anyway. And so every day, I mean, there was no more resistance. And so the hard days passed by pretty easily. And I think I was able to flip the switch. Saira.
Saira. One more point is taking Arvind's point that he mentioned about empathy. In the same experience, supposing you were to look from the perspective of your daughter, who's now in the school, outside is snowing, cold, not sure, and now the only thing that they have is the car. And okay, from her perspective, how would you narrate that experience?
I think when you come out and you see your mom, right, like they are waiting for, I mean, it's like she's your support, right? It might be very cold and all, but then somebody is waiting for you just to hug her, So I think she's feeling very accepted, and she feels very warm, I think, and that's what kids need to feel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, instead of just rushing them, like let's go. It's very cold, and you're not even saying hi well to the kids. You're just rushing them to get them inside the car. You're fully present for them. And I think that is what they're looking for.
And then your journey now, because it's cold earlier, but now if you anchor to the end result of actually conferring that comfort and that happiness and joy to your daughter, then do you think that that journey would become or may become or is becoming more pleasant and acceptable? So you start shifting your awareness from these things to that thing, isn't it?
Yes. Like I know that complaining is not going to get me anywhere, right? So I'd rather just go with the flow and then the situations will work out automatically, right?
And enjoy the journey, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the thing is, we can't change. The same circumstances are there. The same snow will be there. You can't tell God don't snow. You can't change the road. You can't change the school. You can't change the state or anything like that. Or or shift your house or shift your home to Malaysia, for example, which is much warmer and no snow. But whatever said and done in the same circumstances, I only flipped the switch and shifted my perception, and you see a different perspective. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. It's a very nice experience. So you see physical, emotional, intellectual, and the fourth one. So when you start looking like this in everything that you do, there is a thing that happens inside. So if someone makes you angry, don't react, don't emotion. So normal people in the three, when they are jailed in these three levels, that's what their reaction will be. But how will, from the perspective of why does this anger come? Why does this person make me angry? What is it that I should learn? So this, when you start interpreting this way, the same circumstance becomes an extremely part of the universe that becomes a university. Okay, let's go to Sanjeev. Sanjeev, you were in traffic jam. What happened?
Well, truthfully, I haven't had the full experience yet. I did make it home and it was, less frustration, but here's how I would do it the next time, and then I'll report back to you, right?
Please.
Which is, I would apply something that I don't think I've ever applied before, which is, first of all, a little bit of empathy, but a little empathy towards myself, first of all, right? Which is, don't be self-critical in terms of, oh my God, I could have, I should have, I would have, I could have, et cetera, et cetera. So start from that perspective. The second thing that I would do differently, or at least try to do differently, and I will report back on this because there will be another, God knows there'll be enough traffic here in Chicago to keep me busy. The other one would be to just accept and just recognize that, okay, this is the situation, this is where I'm in, right? But I don't have to sit there and necessarily judge the situation that I'm in. I just have to accept the fact that, yeah, this is where it is. And I think the difference that I would expect to see from this is, maybe it might, what, I find myself having perhaps a little more time. Maybe I can put on a particular podcast that I've been listening to for the longest time. It might teach me a few things about being a little more patient, and say, this could be a good opportunity for me. And it'll be hard, but it might give me an opportunity to practice a little bit of patience and not be, self-critical and say, well, I could have planned this, I could have done this, and so on and so forth. And then last but not the least, the physical aspect that I mentioned to you earlier, getting all irritated and, turning the knob and the heat and the cold, etc. Put the glass halfway through, let it be semi-warm, semi-cold, and just enjoy the, enjoy the ride. And, in the back of my mind, think this is where I need to be at this particular time. And who knows what would have happened, 15 miles down the road had I been, perhaps I might have been in an accident, maybe not. But those are the kinds of things that I would perhaps take an approach. How does that sound, and what am I missing?
Okay. One more quality is that when you start interpreting things from the Atmic level, it always wants to make you a better person. The Atmic injunctions are always, the attributes of that is towards oneness. Number two, towards bettering oneself. So in the car, you will say, hey, listen, I'm in the traffic jam. I don't need to, I can't move anywhere. In fact, I tell you honestly, the biggest blessings that, in fact, I take it like this. The biggest blessing one has is to be in a traffic jam, because you would never reach your home. You have left your office, or you have left your home and not reached the office. You're stuck in between 45 minutes. If you put a video, or you put these audio books, and you put so many, do you know by 45 minutes, you have already finished two chapters of a text, or you would have, there's an incredible, because of the traffic jam, we can become extremely illuminated. We can become better people in life. So it's an opportunity to learn, to improve. So all 45 minutes can be a point where you're with bhajans, or you're praying, or with, of course, you can't meditate while you're driving, but you can be in a very reflective pen. So it's a lot of dimensions we can approach, but people tend to use that opportunity, harass themselves, keep horning, you get agitated, restless, but the traffic won't move. So an Atmic interpretation is, oh Lord, thank you so much for making me get stuck in this traffic jam. How wonderful you are. Now I have few more moments to know more about you. And switch on the audiobook. There's so many audiobooks that talks about the higher reality and the greater consciousness and all that. So it's an amazing opportunity to learn. Every moment in life that can be a great opportunity to improve. So that is another quality that the Atmic interpretation, everything is about how is this? It's like God giving you a signal. Hey, I want you to come back home. Okay, this is the signal. This is the message. This is the interpretation. So everything you read about it is about taking you back to God. Like that. So in that way, you find your traffic jam is no more tiresome, no more stressful. By the way, just to let you know, I ask you a simple question: Is traffic jam stressful? Answer to most of the time, most of the question will be yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But actually, traffic jam is a pressure. It's a pressure. The response to the pressure is stress. How you respond to the pressure of traffic jam is the stress. The traffic jam by itself is not the stress. How you respond to the traffic jam is stress. So many people keep on blaming the world for your stress. No, it's how you interpret and how you respond is causing the stress. So change that, because that's what spirituality is all about. You see, it's a new dimension now. So this is a new way of living now. This is the Gita way of living, in the sense that the Swami's, Bhagwan Baba's interpretation of this is always attain peaceful. I always look for better things. Always be cheerful, like that. Okay, so we've got this is 2 sessions over. Now we go, what's the next one? Homework. Okay, so what we do for the next 1 month is that there are 2 things I want to say. One is, let us try to flip the switch, share and learn from each other's experience until our next episode. So now from as last month you looked at the universe and looked at how the universe can become a university. Now look at how you flip the switch. For example, from this moment onwards, see how many times you're getting angry, upset, agitated, emotionally down, feel frustrated. These are very powerful indicators, your emotional indicators. Whenever you feel this, look at this, analyze this, why you are feeling this, what is the reason for that to happen, and then search for that switch and switch it back. That's not necessary. Why should I interpret it this way? Let me see whether I can interpret this in another way. The moment we tell our mind to rewire that experience and look at it in a different light, that's it. You've managed to flip it. And keep flipping every time like that. And you find that you'll always be in this positive mode. Once you're always in this positive mode, the mind will be available for contemplation. The mind will be available. That's actually the reason. Otherwise, for the rest of our life, we'll be fighting fires, fighting problems like that. So when you know how to interpret this in a nice way, your mind is now free for bigger things in our life, higher contemplative exercises, and we'll be able to connect to Bhagavan in better ways and better dimensions, so to speak. So this is your homework for the next 1 month. I also like to ask you another question, because just now when I went from room to room, there were so many beautiful experiences that each of you shared. And I was sitting and I was listening to many of them. It was very engrossing. But unfortunately, we have only got 15 minutes to listen to this. And then we come back, and the others in the other rooms may not have got a chance to experience. The whole idea of life is to learn from everybody and get a chance. We are only having this session once a month, and that's okay, because, and this group, the Chicago group of people and the youth is there, and the team there really works very, very hard. I can tell you, they spend really a lot of hours. You can see the, that the trailer that they produce. Every time they have a trailer, very creative trailers, and they spend a lot of time in thinking about the module in order to make it very palatable, so that the audience, the participants really benefit a lot. Our sincere earnestness is not to complete the Gita and have a study circle and report it and all that. That's not our intention. Our intention is everyone must experience the bliss. Everyone must really feel that oneness and experience that. So I do not know. This is a suggestion that I'm making. For one is the main lesson that we can have at the end of the month. That is what we are doing now. But in between, if there's, there could be people who want to ask questions. So if you have another session somewhere in between after 2 weeks or something like that, and if people want to come together and have a question answer session, satsang kind of thing, and I think if that is a need for that, then I think we can also spend some time doing that. Or you can take the information from here, go back to your groups, like that, like Dallas. You can go back to your group, Dallas Center, and then have your satsangs there, and then creates questions and then come back. Our main earnestness is we want devotees and we want members to really live this life and come and share with us their experiences. I think that's what we want to deepen everybody's experience and go through. You see, one is to go, if we are just going to the center and coming back, bhajan, this and that and everything else, and then we have we have an assumption that that is spiritual. Then going and visiting a gym also, we should get the muscles. We are not getting the muscles because visiting a gym cannot confer. Visiting a Sai center cannot. It has to be an internal integrating the knowledge and seeing this, that experience, So when some of you share some of your experiences, it will really inspire other people to do so. So you can decide, you all can decide and let us know whether there is a need for that, then we can do this. But this monthly session will definitely go on once a month. So today we have covered, don't forget, we have covered just 4 or 5 of the Gita from 11 to 15, and that's all we have done. And we have branded that as a flip the switch mechanism. There comes another part where another approach that Krishna uses, We're using those approaches to rehabilitate and rewire our brain and re-look back at our life and gather new experiences. This is what we are doing. So thank you so much. 9:30, exactly 1.5 hours. Saira?
Suresh Uncle, there are a few questions on the chat. You want to answer perhaps?
Yeah. What are they?
Sairam, this question is from Sister Parimala.
Sister
Parimala. How do you pause your mind to ask those questions to flip when you are in that stressful moment?
Yeah. So it comes from, sorry, well, let's finish. The question is over.
That pause at that very moment to think positively is hard.
It always comes from practice. So when we are in the impulsive mode, when we are in the mode to always jump and answer and make sure, then we are in the impulsive mode. When we are in the impulsive mode, you'll never be able to pause. So therefore, pausing is a reflective attitude. It's a very contemplative mode. That is why we need to practice that in our daily life. So whenever anything happens, there is a system that takes a watch it, don't say anything, just pause, reflect. So it's a system comes into our system, in our brain that helps you to pause. Pause is the most amazing reflective mode. It is moving people's mind to a witness mode, in a witness mode. So if you practice meditation, the first thing in meditation is vigilance over the mind. When you vigilance over the mind, you stand by the river bank and watch the river flowing, watch the river of thoughts flowing. Once we start practicing like this, we will never jump at anything. We'll always pause, stop, and reflect. So this is the attitude we should develop as time passes by. Next one.
Sairam, Sister Preeti, you want to go ahead?
Thank you. I have thoroughly enjoyed the entire session, and thank you, Brother Suresh, for sharing your love, your devotion, your understanding. My humble comment is only this, that having heard everyone, I had just one thing to say, that, all of the Gita, for me personally, it is just to understand that relationship that Arjuna had with Krishna. That is what, once that is established, all else will absolutely come to each and every one of us. That constant, that awesome relationship that Arjun had with Krishna that is what I personally have gained from having read and attended such sessions, that then it becomes so much easier to, whether it is understanding the universe as my university, or flipping the switch, or surrendering, and having to be able to engage and be disciplined to not view the traffic as traffic, but to say, Sakha, sit with me, because I know there will be traffic. You and I are going to have a good time together as we drive home or drive from work. And many other things, but I don't want to take time. But thank you so much.
Sairam, sister, very, very nice comment. Very, very beautiful and wonderful comment. The relationship in everything. That's why when we started, the reverence to the teacher, the reverence to our guru, the relationship. What is your thing? If God is sitting far away from you and you are just sitting from here, no, you must walk with him, talk with him, be like a friend. everything you converse with me, every single year, Swami, this is now lunch, I'm going to have my lunch, oh Bhagavan. So like this, when we have a very strong relationship, then you'll find your wisdom will start growing. You'll find intuitive things coming into your mind. That is how connection takes place, and that is how things will know that it is being driven. So relationship formation is a very important part. So as people who are in this session now, you go back to the altar, go back to him, look at this, how is it? Don't treat him like a far God somewhere. Make him as very integral part of your life. That's what our entire thing. Thank you so much for bringing that point, sister. Thank you so much. Okay, any others?
Can I ask I wanted to share something. You know, this is for Brother Sanjeev, who was caught in the traffic. At least it'll give him some understanding and have empathy for elderly males who have enlarged prostate and have to go pee at the same time. Thank God he's young, he doesn't have that problem. You know, and that's one thing. And the other thing is the person who lost his car, was damaged, lost his dog, and lost his job. The thing is, one can be very empathetic and say, I'm here whenever you feel like talking, come and talk to me. I'm here to listen to you. Or go to his house and be there with him, hold his hand, and be a friend. And if you can help with money, help with money, help with food. Yeah. And also, you know, with time, you can get him another dog. He may be resistant to that, but after some time, that new dog will also become a companion. He won't miss his first dog that much. So there are things we can do to help someone who's going through a rough time.
Yeah.
Thank you,
sister.
Nalini.
So, just to, this is actually a story that was told by the husband, and the husband said, this is my most miserable year. I went for operation, my son lost. And so the wife was listening to all this, and the wife came to the husband and said, no, this is not the worst year. This is your best year. And the wife then said, hey, you know, how can you say that? Yeah, you were suffering for that pain, you were carrying the gallbladder and all these things, you were so much lamenting. Today you finished your surgery. Yes, we paid a bit, but now you're peaceful. And you know, you have always been saying that you wanted to go and do a lot of work, but work is stopping you. Now the work has stopped, you got your pension, now you can do what you want to do. And so this is the best. You're now finished. You don't need to do all these things. And your dog, 14 years he has been suffering. Isn't it better for him to rest and be peaceful rather than have him pain? So that is the best thing that has happened. Everything. And we could have had a son, and we could have attended our son's funeral, but God was kind. Only he took the car. We have still our son. This is the best year. Whatever that has happened, God has protected us. And then he looked at the wife and said, now I know why Baba said, wife means wisdom invited forever. So, so like that. So the same story can be flipped on the other side, and you can see another new dimension. Okay, there are lots more questions that are here, which is why I am saying that if we continue, then it will. Perhaps what we can do, we can compile all these questions together, and then perhaps have another session prior to this session as a preamble or a post, whatever it is, and then we can have more satsang, more sessions, and deepen this knowledge, whatever knowledge, and maybe others also can give. It's by the way, just to let you know, it's not necessary. It's not that I know everything. I also am learning. So maybe other people here in this room also can provide answers and insights, and let us all learn together, because it's already 1.5 hours and like on. Yeah.
Brother Suresh, one final point I just wanted to add. Like when I heard this solution, what sister gave about, you know, telling him getting a new dog, those are all the empathy points. But I feel that when one is truly wise, it's not like that. Like you can't tell you lost your wife, okay, get married again. Those are, I feel, symptomatic bandages. So getting a new dog means you're just assuring him of pain 10 years down the line again, because he's going to lose that dog again, because a dog has a lifespan of 10 years. So this is the standard way of thinking. And I feel, yeah, it takes time. This only shows that it takes time for us to learn to flip the switch to things totally different. That's why we need a lot of prayer, a lot of sadhana, and deep understanding to work. Because whatever point sister brought up, in my opinion, were those that help us empathize. That is excellent, but that is not the final solution, because that is only like telling that, oh yeah, see, it was a dog in this case, but what if it's a husband or a wife that they've lost? Yeah, correct, they can get remarried if the age is on their side, whatever, but that is not a permanent solution. And what Krishna went for is for the permanent solution. This is one point I want to add.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. I think we've come to the point now. We will always go back to the point where people want. We can have another session in between.
Yes. Now that we have the homework, and we all know changes, the permanent changes are the one that happens very slowly. So we are only taking baby steps now. Let's all take that pause, take that distance from the problem and try to change our perspective and come back for the next episode next month. Thank you so much for your patience.
Sairam.
Thank you so much for joining us on a weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Brother Govind.
Thank you, sir.